it was a great game. Our first game, you know, basically I thought our guys performed well. I thought they showed a lot of grit because I want to give Hofstra a lot of credit. I mean, I thought they came in, they played tough, physical brand of basketball. I thought they ran their system very well. And so our guys had to really respond, and I thought they did. Every time we got a lead, they were able to, come back, regain the lead, make plays against us, and that's a real compliment to their coach and their staff because I thought they did a really good job, and I'm proud of our guys for responding the way they did, and was able to pull this game out. And so a lot to learn from this experience, and this will help us to get better. And I'm glad we played a team that was so well prepared.
Coach, back and forth down to the wire. You guys had a couple of chances to pull away, but you guys eventually got enough done to just get the win. Themis and Jordan both said resilience was a major theme. Did you see that from them?
No, absolutely, and that's what they've been all summer, all fall. Very competitive, and they've shown that type of resilience, and that's what you have to have. These guys are, and coaching them and getting to know them, and I know it's still early, but their overall will to compete. They want to be in situations where they can make plays and contribute the way they did today. And not every player wants to be in those situations, but we have a number of players that, they don't mind being in those tough situations, those tough games. And I think they showed that again today. I thought they made some really good plays, and they were at their best when they needed to be. Down the stretch, we need to finish strong. That was something we had talked about after our first two exhibition games, and I thought we finished a lot stronger in this game as opposed to the first two games.
Coach, not too many shots were falling there, whether it was on the floor or the charity stripe during that first half of the first half. Just what were you seeing from your team there, and what did you say to them on the bench, and how did they end up getting their way out there?
Well, I just want our guys to kind of calm down. I mean, it was coming from a good place. Everybody's a little tight. It's the first game, and guys are just out here, getting to know each other on the court for the first time, with regards to playing someone else. It's only our third game. And so these guys are figuring a lot of things out. And we're figuring a lot of things out rotation-wise. You bring Pacheco back this game and you insert him. That means you have to change up your rotations again to try to accommodate his, insertion. So there are a lot of moving parts. But through all that, they allowed us to coach them. They kept believing that they could win, and they made the plays necessary in order to pull the game out. And I'm, like I said, very proud of them for that. Really proud they were able to get to the line as many times as they did. That's something that we hadn't done in the exhibition games, and so we challenged our guys about, being a little, more physical and being a little stronger with the basketball, so maybe we can get the whistle. And I thought our guys did a good job of getting to the free throw line.
How do you feel like Themis grew into the game, particularly in the second half, and how has he handled the responsibilities you have with him running the point?
I thought he handled responsibilities well. I mean, he's still learning our system, but the thing I'll give him credit for is he let the game come to him. He didn't try to, impose his will on the game in the first half. He kind of played within what we were doing. And then in the second half, he had the ball in his hands a lot. He got into the paint a lot and made plays for himself and others. That kind of evolved by how, because of letting the game just come to him and not trying to force things. And so that was something that we saw in the second game that we played in exhibition-wise, where, I thought he was pressing a little too much. And it comes from a good place, but he was kind of pressing. I thought this game he kind of really let the game come to him, which is something that I think, really good players do. And I thought he capitalized on that.
Themis talked a lot about the frustrations, not only with the turnovers, but also the technical fouls. Maybe he shouldn't have said a couple of things, but how do you kind of coach the composure of this team?
Well, we have to continue to learn our players. I mean, he didn't get any technical fouls in practice, so I had to worry about it. But now I'm learning, and I think I started in backcourt. Each had a technical, and we can't have that. That's not who we are. That's not who we want to be. And so we're going to talk to him again about just etiquette on the court, the do's and don'ts, and try to help our guys because they mean well. And sports are funny. There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of desire. And so it's hard, for people to try to control your emotions to the point where these young people aren't robots, and in some ways, I feel like it's going against your human nature almost to do some of that, to kind of stop when you're in a certain kind of feeling and mood, and you got to stop. I mean, so I do understand where it comes from these players, but the rules are the rules, and so we have to find a way to adhere to them. And that means, no extra talking, no extra, stuff on the court deemed, that would be deemed a technical foul. So we're going to continue to coach him through that. I think this was a big lesson for our backcourt because not only did it hurt us because, remember, now that puts Riley in some foul trouble because it becomes a personal foul too. So it's just not as a technical and they shoot free throws. That's now a personal foul on you. So you have to understand your value on the court. And if you know your value, you stay out of situations like that.
You touched on it a little bit, but for this team still kind of coming together, playing their third real game together, what does it say that they were able to kind of gut this win out in the end? It was a close game at the end. They were able to make the plays to put this one away.
This is a game they're going to remember all season. Whenever you're in a game like this, you grow. There are a lot of things. I can't wait to see the tape tonight, and so we can put it together so we can give our guys feedback. But this is where you start to learn. I mean, when you're in positions, 1-2 possession games down the stretch, what are you doing with those possessions? Did you execute the right set? Did you understand time and score? Or did you rush and maybe hurry up and turn the ball over? But we'll learn, okay, this is why you shouldn't do that. These are things that we'll be able to teach based on, what we saw. Defensively, okay, why were there lapses down the stretch? What happened? How did they get to the basket as fast? What were they running that gave us a problem? So these are all things that my staff who are great will look at and start to, evaluate, okay, how do we get better from, this experience?
Coach, you talked about those timely plays, particularly at the end, the offensive rebound by Devin Cambridge. Just how pleased were you with that rebound and just the defense near the end? And also, do you have an update on Devin Cambridge?
Well, Devin did a great job. You got to remember, Devin didn't play, I don't think, hardly any last year. So can you imagine him getting back now in this type of atmosphere after sitting out last season for the most part? So that's challenging, and I give him a lot of credit. And I thought he gutted out and made some big plays for us. He made some big plays on offensive rebounds, and a big play was made by Jordan Burke, off the free throw miss. And that was a big, big rebound for us because we were able to get the ball back out to our point guard, who ended up knocking down the free throw and kind of sealing the game for us. So those are the type of plays I want to see guys make. That's winning basketball when you make those type of plays. Not always about making shots. It's about what else are you doing on the court. And Jordan did a great job, and so did Devin Cambridge.
Johnny, how pleased were you at the end? You to grind out that win on the free throw line. Have to go to the free throw line as much as you guys did have to. Maybe it wasn't how you wanted to finish, but to be able to see your guys be able to step up and make those shots when they needed to in a close game.
Man, it's very important. I'm very proud of them, first of all. You can't simulate that really in practice, even though you try to. And so we weren't in those situations as much in the first 2 games. So to be in those situations where our guys had to go up there time and time again and step up, it's only going to help their confidence and help us understanding what they're capable of doing out there. So, we're learning about our guys, and I think we learned a lot today. Like you said, I learned a lot about, guys that's stepping up in those situations, who stepped up, and that's going to help us as we move forward.
Coach, being a Central Florida native, Riley Kugel got a loud cheer from the crowd before the game. What did you see from him today and what he brought to your offense? Where do you think he can go from here?
His best basketball still ahead of him. I thought he did some really good things out there tonight for us, but I see a lot more in him. I really do. And so that's our job as coach and staff, is try to help him, basically reach his full potential. And he's playing well for us, and I'm happy for him. And he's done a great job of leading with our team as well. He and Themis have done a really good job in their own way of leading our guys and being steady and solid for the rest of the team. And they have to do that as a starting backcourt. So I'm really pleased with what he's been doing. But I still see where he can still, make another jump in his game for us.
Coach, Elijah hasn't gotten a lot of playing time, but he's someone that knows your system, and tonight he got some quality minutes. What can be said about how he handled his assignments, whether it was drop coverage, anchoring the paint in the zone, and how important is he going to be for you as a backup big moving forward?
Definitely. He did his job for us. He did his job by being physical. He's an inside presence for us. He's easy to play with. When he does touch the basketball, he's easy to facilitate the ball to guys. And so he's a willing passer in that regard. So, I was pleased with his performance. I mean, he didn't score points, but the things that we wanted him to do, he went out there and did them, and that's all we can ask for him. He played hard, and he kept things simple on the floor, and that's what we're asking him to do.
Couple more.
Coach, you had John Bull in the starting 5 tonight. Just what you learned from starting him there and what you can see from him going forward.
Well, John is still adjusting to everything that we have going on. He's another player who didn't play much last year, sat out quite a bit. So for him, this is all new. He's gaining his experience now on the court, really for the first time. So I'm excited to see where he is. If the day's in the indication of how well he'll do, he's got a huge upside. I'm just watching him, for his overall potential and what I think he can do as the season progresses. He's only going to get better as he gets more comfortable. He's long, he's active. He just has to get those minutes under his belt, those experiences that he'll be able to rely on as the season progresses.
What motivated you to put him in the starting five tonight?
Well, he earned it. He's playing well for us. He gives us he gives us size at the center spot. We went small ball a little bit later in the game, but when he's in the game, it does give us a presence. But he's 7'2" out there with a good wingspan, so his activity, his length, I think helps us at times. And so, are we going to have different lineups at different times? Absolutely. This team doesn't have a lineup that's set in stone, but we thought right now, starting out, it was a good lineup for us, and it turned out that it was.
Coach
Question?
Jordan Burks didn't have the strongest start to the game, but come around the second half, he finished with 17 points, and when we spoke with him afterwards, he said he felt like he was pressing, but you told him to calm down, let the game come to him. What kind of player could he be in this offense?
I think he can be outstanding in our offense. He's built for how we play. His is just getting out there, getting comfortable at what we do. And the young man, like I said, his best basketball is ahead of him, watching what he does. And I think he showed a glimpse of it when he got the offensive rebound late in the game. See, those are the other plays he can make to help you win besides making shots. We know he can make shots. What I want to see him do is the other 98, 97% of the game that has nothing to do with making shots. It has something to do with making plays. And I think he's capable of doing a lot in that area as well.